y'all. I'm Laura Richardson with Relevate, and we're bringing you another episode of I'm Moving to North Carolina, Now What? So this week we're going to be talking about how to choose a lender. So think about it like this. Your lender is your money man. This is the person who's going to be providing the funding if you're not buying this new home all in cash. So first of all, are they local? Not that this makes a vast difference, but there are some nuances here in North Carolina that can really be pertinent to a potential contract that you're going to put out. So being local and being familiar with the fickle beast that is North Carolina real estate can be really important. So for example, in some of our maybe Western metros, it's really common to get seller paid concessions. And that may not be as common, especially in our hot zones here in the Triangle. So there might be some contractual suggestions that either you're a national lender or your lender who works in various other parts of the United States, they might be giving you some suggestions that don't really apply here. So if you are going to use somebody that potentially is not local to the Triangle, definitely make sure you sync them up with your potential buyer agent so they can go ahead and talk through things that can be expected and how to best protect you in that contract. The second thing is, what's their experience level? Have they ever done this before? How long have they been in the industry? Have they been through multiple cycles of real estate? Remember, it's like anything. There are ebbs and flows. There are certain types of market where buyers hold a lot more power and sellers hold a lot more power. And then there's that evening out process. So just to speak to how they run their business, what their experience is, how things have gone in the past, and also what type of company they work with. So this also goes to experience, and this is number 3, dealing with appraisal gaps. So there are a couple of processes when this happens. One is your standard conventional loan product. So doing something called a reconsideration of value or ROV process. Are they familiar with this? Have they had to do these in the past? And keep in mind, it's really the agent that is helping the client provide the professional documentation in order to do this reconsideration of value. And the ROV process is essentially arguing the appraisal. So let's say, for example, you agreed to pay $500,000 for a house, and unfortunately the appraiser comes back and says, you know what, it's only going to be $490,000. And they're using comparable homes and other type of metrics in order to provide that and prove that. Well, your lender can only give you funding based off of the appraised value. So now there is what's called an appraisal gap, that $10,000. So ask your lender, what does that look like in the past? Is there a specific process or form that potentially that company uses? Also, are they familiar with Tidewater, which is the VA version of basically saying this doesn't comp out, it's not going to appraise. Is there any other data that the appraiser can consider in order to give the correct value to the home? And then the fourth thing is just asking about what products they offer. Is there anything that is pertinent to a first-time home buyer? Do they also do things like physician's loans? What experience do they have doing FHA, USDA, VA, or any of the government-backed products? So not just your standard conventional loan. In addition to that, there might be certain programs that that particular organization or company has. What's the difference between working with maybe a local state bank versus some other type of mortgage broker? Also, sometimes when we're talking new construction, there could be additional incentives that are also provided. So this would be number 5 for you. Ask them about any incentives that are tied to particular builders or communities. There could be certain things that you can get added into the contract at no cost to you, like closing costs paid for, or other perks like, for example, a certain % down that would be applied to that particular builder or community. So all good things to ask up front. And then the most important of all, and this is the last one, is how do they communicate? Do they do it through a portal? Is it by old-fashioned email? Are they calling and giving you updates once a week maybe, or every day for all that matter? Does it come through text? Are they also communicating with your buyer agent, or does that kind of get funneled through you? And then something that's really important with communication, are they available on the weekends? We know that a lot of folks maybe want to work that 9 to 5, but in the world of real estate, that is not when deals are done. They are typically done in the after hours, late at night, on a Saturday. And you want to know, okay, if you can't be available, do you have a backup? Do you have a team? How much of an advance notice do I need to give you that I'm going to look at properties and might be putting out an offer? So just make sure that the communication is locked in, because if it's not, you could miss out on a house because you're having to wait until Monday Monday to get a pre-qualification letter or a monthly mortgage breakdown or closing cost breakdown. So all of these things are just good starting points of conversation to make sure you're picking the right person. But at the end of the day, follow your gut. Guys, you will get the vibe check for people as you're asking these questions. Are they indulging the questions? Are they making you feel silly for even asking these? Are they rushing you off of the call or the phone, or just kind of real short email bursts? So make sure you're working with somebody that you know, like, and trust. And if you don't have a lender that you know, like, and trust, we can definitely recommend a few for you. So I'm Laura Richardson with Relevate, and we'll see you on our next episode.